Once upon a time, deep in the heart of the wildwood, there was going to be a great race. All the kids from the villages around the wildwood were invited. All the animals were going to take part in the race too. The hares were going to run, the foxes were going to run, the badgers were going to dig, the otters were going to slide down the river, and the eagles were going to fly. And at the end, there would be a feast for everyone. But our story starts with a little mouse called Monty. Now, Monty was small, very small, and he was slow, very slow. So when all the animals gathered by the lake and the race began, Monty found himself quickly left behind. All the other animals disappeared into the distance. Monty sighed. He knew he wasn't fast, but he had entered the race with high hopes. He hoped that if he tried his very hardest, he might just make it. But now his ears drooped and his whiskers twitched sadly. Monty was so upset that he wanted to give up. But then he saw something. A little rabbit had fallen out of the running. She had tripped over a tree root and was now lying on the forest floor, crying. Quickly, Monty scuttled over to her. "Are you okay?" squeaked Monty. The little rabbit sniffed. "I fell and now my leg hurts," she whimpered, "and I can't carry on." Monty looked at the rabbit. He knew how she felt. He looked down at his paws. It was muddy and it hurt. But he knew he couldn't give up. He had to keep going. So Monty did something very brave. He took a deep breath, stood on his hind legs, and said, "Hop on." The rabbit looked at Monty in surprise. "What? How?" she squeaked. "Just do it," said Monty. And the rabbit did. She hopped on the back of the mouse, and Monty started to run. They ran past the weeping willow tree, under the bridge, and over the babbling brook. Soon they came to the first checkpoint where all the other animals had gathered. Some were waiting patiently. Others were arguing loudly. When the animals saw Monty and the rabbit, they all gasped. The eagle shrieked in surprise, and the badger shouted, "Look, it's cheating! He's using her for transport!" The fox trotted over to them and said slyly, Well, looks like someone's taking the easy way to the finish line." Then he turned to the eagle. "Hey, why don't you two take a ride on my back? We'll get to the finish line quicker that way." The eagle screeched and swooped down, almost hitting the rabbit. "Don't tell me what to do," snapped the eagle. "I can fly my own race." Then she took off and soared up into the sky. The hare hopped closer and said, "You know, this isn't fair. You're slow, but with my help you might make it to the finish line." The mouse looked up at the hare. Maybe the hare was right. Maybe he should have done this in the first place. So the mouse and the hare set off together, skipping along the path. Next, they met a family of badgers. One of the badgers shouted, "Hey, slowpokes, what are you doing here? This is a race, not a stroll in the park." Monty and the rabbit didn't bother arguing. They just carried on. Soon they came to the river. The water was wide and the current was strong. The mouse and the rabbit looked at each other. Neither of them could swim. Just then, a family of otters slid out of the water. One of the otters said, "Fancy a ride?" The mouse and the rabbit were very grateful, but they didn't want to be a bother. But the otter insisted, and soon they were all sliding down the river together. When they reached the finish line, the eagle was waiting for them. She had finished first, but she had waited for everyone else to arrive. Together, they all went to collect their prize, a big juicy apple. And as they shared the apple together, they all agreed the great wild race had been won by all of them. There was no slow or fast. There was no cheat or winner. They had all worked together and helped each other to reach the finish line. And that was the best thing about the great wild race. The end.